Hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique. Now, the newly released cinematic film that I went to see this week, well, I say newly released, it's been out in the US already for about 2.5 months, and it's actually not had its official release date here in the UK either. I've managed to see it through one of our cinema chains that do like special advanced previews of films that are yet to be released, so I've seen it about 10 days before its release, which will be actually this Friday, I believe. So, the film I'm referring to, of course, is the Johnny Depp's newest film, Black Mass, which is directed by Scott Cooper, director of Out of the Furnace and Crazy Heart. But Depp plays the notorious Boston gangster and criminal James Whitey Bulger. So it's interesting because gangster films can sometimes focus on real characters. This one does, and what an interesting performance it is by Depp, because it goes without saying, really, with Depp that he's falling into a bit of a slump, in my opinion. And when I say that, I mean he tends to do roles that are expected of him. Those sort of weird and wonderful roles, and you're almost getting a bit bored by it now. And that's my opinion. I think I am bored by it now. If he was doing a bit more of a diverse sort of bit more recent filmography, it wouldn't be as disappointing, is probably the word to use. But here, with Black Mass, this is exactly what we have been missing from Johnny Depp. I mean, I did like his one of his previous ventures into the gangster genre, Public Enemies. It wasn't entirely heralded. I can understand particular reasons why, but I thought that was a decent step into another genre and show some talents that Depp has got. He's more than just the weird and wonderful characters that we see so often with him. He has that ability to just do something like this. And while I was watching this film, first of all, wonderful work by the makeup team on his character, because it completely renders Depp unrecognisable. And Depp's performance only enhances that effect. And the biggest compliment you can give to an actor is that you forget that is the actor, and that is and you only identify the person on screen as the character. And because of the, like I said, the fabulous work by the makeup team and Depp's fabulous work also, you're just completely taken, in my opinion, I was taken aback by how effective it was. And it's only afterwards I was thinking, my word, fabulous work there. Fabulous work from both the makeup team and Depp to encapsulate that character and therefore performance. Great stuff. There's some. What shall I go into? I'll briefly describe the setup of the film. So obviously, James Whitey Bulger is a kind of a small level, but head of a small sort of criminal organisation in Boston. And it's through his connections with a old childhood friend who now works within the FBI that he formulates a deal in order to apparently feed them information regarding rival operations in order for effectively immunity to prosecution. Under the also thing apparently that he is not allowed to kill anybody and not allowed to deal drugs. That's what is set up in through this childhood friend of his. And it's all about where this relationship goes throughout the film. The childhood friend in question is played by Joel Edgerton, who is just fabulous. I really, really enjoyed his performance in this film. I think more than anything, it was the humour that Joel Edgerton brought to that character and therefore role. Because crooked cops, that is what Joel Edgerton is effectively, can be quite, what's the word I'm looking for, dry, and given the old, a hint of slime to them, if they will. But what Joel Edgerton does is he manages to sort of justify in his own mind at least what is going on and his actions, and gives a performance that is sort of recognisable in probably in people, and traits in people. That sort of arrogance, that charm, in a way, a bit of a charming arrogance about him he's got. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed Joel Edgerton in this film. There's quite a few significant support actors in roles. Kevin Bacon plays effectively one of the heads of the FBI. There is also, oh dear me, I've forgotten. Is it Dakota Johnson play? Now, one little bugbear I will mention regarding the film is they go through quite a bit of his life and don't tend to focus on. Maybe it's they wouldn't think of them as important moments, but I feel they weren't expanded upon enough. And one of these moments in particular is his relationship with his. I honestly can't remember whether it was his girlfriend or his wife, who played by Dakota Johnson, and he has a son who is in the film critically ill, and it's a relationship that's kind of looked upon for about not even maybe 10 minutes and then sort of pushed to one side. I was a little bit disappointed with that sort of, because although I've seen sort of things like that done in other gangster films, it's done in a way where it shows something about the character and their relationship with those other with what would normally be considered close lovers and children, obviously, and family and that. But it said something about the character. Whereas here, it just seemed to be that it was the makers more. It said something more about the makers than the actual character themselves. The character himself. So a little bit disappointed with that. Yeah, but what it does well. What it probably has, the best thing that has going for it is Depp and Edgerton's performances. And it certainly has a feel, when I was watching it, that it was a sort of a feel of, if you've seen American Hustle, it's like American Hustle meets Goodfellas. Only this time it's sort of on a less grand scale. A less grand scale, if you will. And that's what I mean by not focusing, because it's short, actually, for a gangster film as well. They could have had time to sort of expand upon certain things that are going on in his relationships and even with certain enterprises, and more to do with maybe the corruption in the FBI and things like that. When Joel Edgerton and Johnny Depp are on screen together, they're fabulous to watch. And to be honest, even when Joel Edgerton is in the office, effectively justifying certain things that he's doing to his superiors and colleagues, it's almost electrifying in a way, because, and particularly when certain results become his way, it's, oh yes, it's a very good performance there. So, yeah, it's not the most amazing gangster film, but it is certainly a top-notch sort of film. It's a really decently made film with decent performances in in particular the two main lead roles, with some decent support. So, yeah, it certainly could have gone to more depth at certain moments, but otherwise, I generally and thoroughly enjoyed the film. Especially, obviously, like I say, being a bit of a fan of a gangster film. And I will give final credit to Johnny Depp, because he does deserve great credit for the work he has done with this performance. And it's been quite a while since I've said something of that effect about Depp. So let's hope this is some sort of mini revival, and we will see a lot more sort of a varied performances from him. Give us every now and then, give us a performance of a weird and wonderful character, because yes, you do them well, but when you do them all the time, they become less and less effective. So yeah, there we go. Black Mass, really, really enjoyed the film. Definitely worth seeing, particularly if you're a fan of gangster films, but I think in general it's a damn decent film. Yeah, there we go, Black Mass. So my classic film of the week this week is a film which makes it a Johnny Depp special, because I've talked an awful lot there about Johnny Depp and his varied, well, I say varied, his film career, if you will, of doing weird and wonderful characters. This film certainly features one of his best weird and wonderful characters. That character is Jack Sparrow. So therefore, you know what I'm about to say. The classic film I'm going to review here is Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. What is astonishing about this film is, there's many things, isn't there? There's many things astonishing about this film, because this came out in 2003. And this was not a genre that was worthy of exploring at any studio at that moment in time. A swashbuckling fantasy film, these tend to be absolute massive flops, don't they, in the industry? So hard to get right, absolutely so hard to get right. It was based upon a Disney amusement park ride. That's something that shouldn't be going for it either. And Jerry Bruckheimer was involved. Now, when Bruckheimer's involved, sometimes he can be an absolute overblown producer, and what he does, he just absolutely. I think you either really enjoy him or you really hate him in certain aspects. I kind of have a bit of both with him. He's so overblown, but with this film, he does it absolutely perfect. His influence is wonderful. It's directed by Gore Verbinski, who had previously to these films done the Ring film. I've still not seen it myself, so this is really my sort of Gore Verbinski film. But Johnny Depp, like I say, plays Captain Jack Sparrow, a rather nefarious pirate. But his performance is another thing is quite astounding. Is it was a performance that got critics really hyped up and got himself an Oscar nomination. That is quite unheard of for a fantasy film. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to sort of still get your head around that sort of fact that Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl warranted a. Hey, it certainly did warrant one, but the fact that the studio actually recognised something in the fantasy and science fiction genres is quite astounding. So yeah, but hey, damn worth it, because his performance is truly comical and truly wonderful, and he embodies a perfectly wonderful, explored, and vibrant character. What does the film focus on? Because I've already talked about it today as Johnny Depp, but it is a special show, there we go. The film focuses effectively on the other characters who are involved are Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom, who play young characters who become embroiled, obviously, in Johnny Depp's pirate scene. How, you ask? Well, there's Orlando Bloom's, as a child, was found after pirates have attacked a ship, and he was carrying a piece of pirate treasure. This piece of pirate treasure is took from him by Keira Knightley's young girl character at the time to protect him, thinking that he was a pirate. This piece of bullion, if you will, ends up in the water and then somehow sends some sort of signal to pirates, and it's something that a group of pirates particularly want. I won't go into the reasons why, because if you've not seen it, it's great to just discover it for yourself. But that's the setup of the film. Pirates come, and then led by, in this case, Jeffrey Rush's Captain Barbossa. Wonderful. Really pushing Depp to the levels of just another great performance in the film. Yeah, fabulous again by Jeffrey Rush here. Wonderful to watch. To me, you probably get some of the best lines in the film as well. There's a moment of realisation from Keira Knightley and a night scene with the moonlight on. You know that scene if you've seen the film. Fabulous work by Jeffrey Rush there. But they're your four players of it. So Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley. So, and I've always never been the biggest fans of Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, but they're perfect for these sort of roles. And let's just start talking about some of the other things involved with the film other than the performances. I think the effects are fabulous. Regarding particular things like Gone in the Moonlight, I think that's fabulous. It's a great reveal. Regarding the plot, it's a great idea. And what is so effective is the plot is so simple. There's a focus, which could not be said about the following films, could it, really? Which is very, very disappointing, because that sort of world is vibrant and so much to explore, and they've never really quite sort of achieved it. So, the fight scenes, oh my word. And I must refer to the best one, which in my opinion, which was the initial encounter between Orlando Bloom and Johnny Depp in a blacksmith's. And sometimes you just got to go, fabulous, because I'm just watching it in awe. It's just one of those fight scenes that, with the music as well, which is some of the most memorable music in any film, never mind a fantasy or science fiction film. It's one of the most vibrant and instantly recognisable soundtracks and pieces of music score that a film has ever had. If you are in this sort of generation, you know instantly that is Pirates of the Caribbean theme. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely, truly wonderful. So fabulous work there on the score by Hans Zimmer and Klaus Badelt. It was a combination, I believe. I'm not sure what an influence, but they were both involved. But Hans Zimmer clearly had a great influence on that sort of thing because he's a great composer. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes long. That's a long film, and again for a fantasy film, remember. But like I say, the plot is focused. Everything is paced perfectly. The music works perfectly in time with action sequences and even down sequences. The comedy is wonderful. The character interplay is what makes the film between Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush, and then Jeffrey Rush and Keira Knightley, or even with the particular their Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush's respective crews. That's fabulously well and entertaining crews. They're great comic moments. But yeah, the less said, like I say, about the sequels is, yeah, there we go. What more can I talk about, really, regarding it? I really can't. Yeah, just a truly, truly wonderful film, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. A classic Johnny Depp performance. A classic film in the genre. And it's a shame we've not had the respective results since. But it will always remain a fabulous film. And a lot of people have already watched it. But please, if you've not watched it, please do, because it is truly wonderful to observe. There we go. So that was my classic film of the week, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and my theatrical release film of the week was Black Mass, the biopic of Boston gangster James Whitey Bulger, and that made it a Johnny Depp special. I do thank you if you have for watching. I do hope you subscribe to me, and I hope to see and speak to you again soon. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.